Alright, in this video I thought I would talk about my recent Packraft kayaking of the Savannah River. My name is Billy, and I feel like I should always introduce myself because people don't know who I am, and just give you a little background before I start talking about the trip, just so you know kind of the things I've gone through, so you can see where I'm coming from. It's not just based on just this one trip. There's a map behind me. You really can't see it. The Packraft's covering it, but I've walked the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, bicycled Vancouver to Toronto, bicycled across the U.S., all the way to Key West, all the way to California, all the way down to Panama, the top of South America, Colombia, all the way down the West Coast, down to the bottom of South America, and then I came back up to Buenos Aires on a bicycle. I've climbed Aconcagua. I bicycled from Spain all the way to Greece. Going through Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, Albania. I bicycled across Australia. I've walked New Zealand from the North Island down all the way to the bottom of the South Island. Those are some of the bigger things I've done. And I just got back today from a trip, and I basically, the Savannah River, if you're not familiar, it's basically the border between South Carolina and Georgia. It was about a 300-mile kayaking trip that I went on. It took me 12 days, and I averaged 25 to 30 miles per day kayaking in the Packraft. So I thought in this video I would just talk about, instead of doing the gear and then the trip, I just do all in one. So some of the things that happened to me, the issues: I had a broken paddle. I think that was just after the halfway point. My seat that I sit on, this just goes straight. It got some holes in it after I stopped at my first resupply point in Augusta. My battery charger, which is right here, it ended up dying on me not long after the halfway point. A lot of my food, I would probably say an eighth of my food, a sixth of my food, got water damaged, so I wasn't able to eat it. It got waterlogged. I'll try to remember to talk about my food later, what I eat. Blisters on my hands. I don't know if you can see those, but I still have, they're getting better, but they're all over both my hands. My elbow, my left hand, at one point I was, the second and third day, I was underhanding the paddle for the next few days until I took a day off in Augusta. And alligators. I had to deal with alligators, which I hadn't really done that before. Lived with them for days on end, and mosquitoes. But I did this trip from, it's 2019, I did it from June 22nd to July 3rd, so it was 12 days. As I said, the trip was about 300 miles. I guess I'll talk about the gear. Go ahead and get you, and then I'll kind of do some more about it. So behind me, it's a Packraft. I think it weighs 8 pounds. I'm not too particular, but I bought it because on the Savannah River you have to portage. I think there's 6 dams and locks that I did. So there's a couple dams. I think you have to go through 3 dams and 3 locks, and you're going to have to walk around if you decide to do it. But you can use this video for packrafting, backpacking, all different. If you want to see the journal, see the photos, probably Instagram. I'll provide a link in the bottom to help you out. But probably the most important thing is the raft itself. It's made by Kokopelli. I got it specifically for this trip. It didn't bust on me, the inflatable itself, so that was great. As you see up here, I put this PVC pipe, and this is a food storage bag that I would attach with carabiners. But actually I can lift up this umbrella that I've added to the back, and then that pops up, and you can see in the photos. So that's that part of that. That's what that white PVC piping's doing. This is a food storage bag. Here is my backpack, and this used to be white. I don't know if you can see. It's all like a muddy, milky. It's been washed several times, but it's Cuban fiber. This thing got everything soaked, totally wet in it. A life vest. I never actually wore it, but I did have a park ranger stop me and ask me where my life vest was. There's also a whistle in here. I also took a helmet on this trip, and I guess it's kind of hard even though I'm talking about the gear, but Like 4 or 5 days into this trip, when I was coming out of Augusta after a rest day, there's a seat insert in here. Take it all the way out. This seat inserts get you about 3 or 4 inches off of the kayak floor, but right along here, it literally got like 6 holes of like snake bite, which you get on like a bicycling. So I went to inflate it, and it went pop, pop, pop. So for half the trip, I sat in 6 inches of water. So to try to get me out of the water, I put the helmet on the floor and then sat on my life vest. Totally uncomfortable. I would paddle 10 to 12 hours a day. So I was really disappointed in the seat insert. I called Kokopelli. They didn't respond, give me any help. I tried type A, tried B of tear aid. I tried rubber cement. I tried bicycle patches. But I still didn't find a solution. The helmet, I didn't know what I was going to go through. Actually, on the first day was one of the hardest days because I had to climb through a swamp and have all these cuts and stuff still on my leg. And I had to climb down an old dam, which isn't one of the dams I counted. It's just an old powerhouse dam. And definitely not needed for the Savannah River. There are some rocks in Augusta, but I just never knew what I would be climbing down. I didn't know what the river was going to be like, so I did take a helmet. So, food bag, umbrella, backpack, life vest, and then there's a paddle up here. This paddle actually somebody gave me 3 days before the end of the trip. The paddle that Kokopelli gave me, it broke. The first issue I had was the blade split. I don't know if you can see that on camera. So I noticed that, and then I woke up one morning and the entire blade on the other side had popped off. So I was down to just a single blade. I stopped some fishermen the next day, and I was in the middle of nowhere, they told me. They said that's why we live here, but he happened to have this 20 or 30-year-old paddle that he let me borrow, and that's how I finished the trip out. The one that Kokopelli gave me with the raft, I didn't make this trip. Also, something I guess is unique, I always use nets when I bicycle, and again, you can see the other videos. So I installed this net system on the top so I could stash stuff through here. I also added a line, a rope as most people would call it, to the front to help me grab. One of the last minute things I did is I added a strap. It's like a bag strap, and this actually was really awesome to carry the Packraft sideways when I portaged around dams. So that was a great addition. I usually would do because it's extra weight, and if you watch any of my videos, you know I won't carry anything extra basically. But I did actually enjoy that. The rope, even though it wasn't super useful, it was useful holding it sometimes. I'm going a little too slow. This video is going to be super long. I ran out of sunscreen the first 3 days, so I ended up buying 2 sunscreens in Augusta. So take a lot of sunscreen. Actually, this is really good. It's Ultra 50. It's from Equate. This is the best sunscreen I've found. There's a lot of sunscreens out there, but if you're looking to wear sunscreen, and I'm someone who doesn't wear sunscreen unless I absolutely have to, and because I was sitting in the baking sun 12 hours a day. Usually when I bicycle hike, I don't wear sunscreen. But on this trip, I did, and Equate, the Ultra 50 is really good. I never take a pot. It's probably been 10 years since I've taken a pot. This is an old grease pot. This is a kit that it sits on, and then have a titanium spork that I bent to fit in the pot. Water filter I just drank from the lakes and the river, the Savannah River, the whole time. I was really disappointed in the filter. It really feels like you're drinking like a hamster. It's just drip, 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 drip. So it's really annoying. I always carry this, but I never use it. This time I did use it, and I was really disappointed in how slow the flow was, but of course, that's keeping the water clean for me. I don't know. I would try to definitely find something better next trip. I wouldn't take that water filter. I don't know. I don't like the pump filters. I don't know. I started off with some gloves. I kind of took some cheap gloves and I cut holes in them. I don't know if this hurt or helped my hands. I wore them for the first couple days, and then after like third or fourth day, I stopped using the gloves. so you may want to use gloves. I can't tell you. Toilet paper. I don't know that I would take it next time. I used it, I think the first day maybe, the first, second day, and then I never used it. I just washed up in the lake. This bag is full of bug spray and bug bracelets. Again, I'm the type of person who doesn't use bug spray. This trip I actually did use bug spray. I tried to use these didn't work out for me, but I would still use them because it's not bug spray. I did use deep free bug spray the 2 times I think that I used it. But that's what's in this bag is bug stuff that I wouldn't take on any other trip because I knew it was going to be mosquito crazy. I took it this time. This is a bug netting, and I have 4 small stakes in here. It's just a labor bug netting, a cheap bug netting. I wouldn't take it again. The bag ripped apart on me. Mosquito, spiders. I have bites. I don't know if you can see them. They're all over my face, my arm, my back, my butt, my leg. I have bites all over me, even though I use the mosquito net. Hygiene, this is one of the only things to take. I didn't take soap. I wouldn't take soap on the next trip. Toothbrush, toothpaste. These are the shoes, water shoes I used, just simple cheap water shoes that I got. I had a sunglass holder that I used to actually store my water things, water purifier, that kind of thing in. Something I bought on a resupply. I told you guys that my power bank died, so I ended up buying, just with 2 days left in the trip, my phone was dying. I ended up buying this little bag, and it actually holds the phone. I had a waterproof sack over here. That didn't work out. I would put my phone in it. The phone would be wet for my hands. I couldn't see in the screen, so it would continue to hold water. So I actually used it to hold my electronic gear. And I used this thing, which is you wear it on your hand to hold a water bottle. It was like $5. I bought it so I could slip my phone in here. This is a power bank, but I'll slip my phone in here. And I attached it with a carabiner to my net, and I could easily grab my phone. The phone could be wet, but would dry. So that's what this little bag is. This is a pump that Kokopelli I bought. I want to say it's like $40. Expensive little pump. As you can see, it doesn't work anymore. So this pump doesn't actually inflate up the entire thing, but it's the pump they try to sell you. It's an awesome idea. It's super small. It inflates it about 3/4 of the way. Then you have to use an air tube, which is right here. This air tube's actually kind of nice. It's not as bad as you think it is. So I definitely always carry this air tube in case this thing fails, which it did. But I would actually use it to inflate my mattress each night because I'm getting old and lazy. But the pump ended up dying, so I can't recommend this pump from them. This is my Thurmond mattress that I carried. This is my only sleeping bag that I carried. The clothes that I'm wearing, I don't know if you can see, I have on swim shorts and a t-shirt. That's all I wore for the 12 days. I don't have any extra clothes. I didn't carry any socks. I carried a sun hat that I've carried since 2006, so it's an old hat. The only jacket, I didn't carry any pants. The only jacket, I used Compass 360 rain gear. So this is their lightest weight jacket. I actually ended up starting to sleep in it because it would cover my arms from the mosquito bites at nighttime. So I didn't actually use this. It did rain on me a couple days, but I was wet constantly. The paddle would always drip water on me. I was sitting in water basically. So when it rained, I just got wet. If it rained while I was sleeping, sometimes I'd hold the umbrella up over my head and it would just drop down and hit my legs. It's summertime, so it was warm enough so I wouldn't get cold. But that's it. That's clothes, that's sleeping, that's food. All I got left is electronics. I carry a GPS transponder, tracker, locator. This actually came in handy when my phone died, like 4 days left. I was actually able to text my family and let them know that I wouldn't be posting the updates, but they can get in touch with me, so I'd recommend this. I used to carry a Spot, now I carry the Garmin. As I told you before, my power bank died. I bought a cheap one at the dollar type store. This bag I had at the beginning, I used it for electronics. It didn't do what I wanted. It was supposed to carry my phone. A solar panel I've had for many years. I don't carry anymore. I used to carry bicycling. I took it on this trip. It didn't work well. I would sit it in my net here, but the boat would shift around each paddle, so it didn't work so well. But if I would actually could sit for a couple hours, which I never do, But the day I broke my paddle, I had to wait on somebody to come and help me, and it actually did charge my phone, which was nice. If I had to do it again, I would actually mount it towards the back here. I think the stern of the boat maybe doesn't swing so much in the sun, and maybe this would be more reliable. Another thing that broke within the first day was my drone. I've noticed that it has problems over water and salt lakes and stuff like that. It loses its GPS. And actually, I'm surprised it didn't. It hit the water 3 or 4 times in a row. I'm surprised it actually didn't go down in the lake. But it's an old drone. I should have tested it. I figured I was going to lose it anyways. And in this bag is a razor. It's how I cut my hair, shave my face. I have tweezers and a pair of scissors. That is it. This is my phone that I carry. So some of the things that if I were to change to do this trip tomorrow, do it over again, would I take the inflatable Packraft? I would not. And even though it's a simple river, this thing really was, it really did scare me. The seat busted, the paddle busted. The reason I took it was because I was going to meet my parents and I knew I had to get on in a car at the end of the trip, and this thing can literally roll up the size of my life vest, and it can actually fit in between. So it's great. I can put it in a car. In a traditional molded kayak, I can't fit anywhere. I can't take a bus, can't take it on a plane. It's just a huge extra expense. So that's what this is great for, is basically it fits in a backpack. But even though I was in the States, even though I was in my home state of Georgia and South Carolina, I was really scared at any moment this thing was just going to fail on me. Thankfully it didn't, but right now I'm really questioning why I spent that $1,000 purchasing it. It's just a huge expense for what little you get. It's kind of like, I don't know, a rich man's play toy to go play in a pond. It's not really, I wouldn't want to take it anywhere adventurous. Unless you're going to go with someone else and they have another one and you have backup. But if you're going solo, I can't recommend, I don't think I would recommend myself taking it, unfortunately, again. But I love that, how portable it is. I can jump in somebody's car. That's what I did. I jumped in Uber and nobody even knew what I did. I jumped on a bus. Nobody knew, I didn't have to strap it on the top, pay extra fees, all this kind of stuff. That's what it's great for. But as far as exploring, is taking a huge risk. In the Savannah River, there's all types of downed trees. It gets flooded all the time. So I was really worried about the next tree limb, the next tree trunk taking me out. But we did make it, except for the seat insert and except for the paddle. So I wouldn't take soap. Well, I didn't take soap. I wouldn't take soap. I probably wouldn't take toilet paper. I did take it this time. I would take a second one of these. Everything, like I said, my food got wet. Everything in my Cuban fiber backpack got wet. I would definitely take a second one of these. I would definitely take more Ziploc bags. And I would almost double, like, split your food up. That way if one bag gets wet, the other bag, you have a chance of staying dry. And just open up the one bag, and hopefully it's the only bag that continues to get wet. The other one stays dry. So I would take 2 of those, and hopefully my food, and I wouldn't waste so much food. I didn't eat so much. It was hot. It was probably in the 90s. It was pushing up to the 100 degrees Fahrenheit by the time I ended the trip. So most people would say it was a hot trip. Better bug netting. I definitely wouldn't recommend the bug netting that I took. You can see how I set up. I actually slept in my kayak or on top of it each night. That way it put me away from the alligators and snakes and ants and stuff like that. So you can kind of see that on the Instagram feed. Just scroll down till you see the Packraft photos, and you can read my journal of each day I've done. I maybe would take, and I thought about this time, I maybe would take 2 phones. I always thought I was going to drop this in the water, water damage. The battery compartment, everything that has electronics on this trip has a green algae built up around it, and this thing was starting to fail on me, and I really thought the phone wasn't going to work. But it ended up being the battery bank, and I was lucky, but I probably may take a second phone. Again, I was close to home. I wasn't out of the country, so, but if I was somewhere where I couldn't get another phone or something, I don't know, I would definitely think about it. And again, I would probably think about 2 power banks. This thing is like 16 ounces. It's super heavy in my world, but I may carry another power bank. Maybe you get 2 smaller ones. But if those things go and the solar isn't working, which this solar is really great, it's really old technology. I haven't looked at the new stuff, but this one is still going strong. You just got to stay in one spot, and that's not the kind of person I am. I like every daylight. I walk, bicycle, paddle as much as I can. Also, an extra phone cable to charge it in case that phone cable goes bad, because that was my map. I mean, that's how I figured out where I was. And one of the things you read in the journal, not a lot of people could tell me, like, how far is the next road crossing, how far is the next landing, that kind of, people are like, oh, it's 50 miles, it's 30 miles, 10 miles. It's really hard, because if you look on a map, it's like this awesome windy river. It's not a straight shot. So it's really hard to tell the mileage, and there's sandbars and all this stuff going on. So my phone was my one resource to figure out where I was, to make sure I didn't go down the wrong side canal, stuff like that, to show me where the next resupply point. And basically there were only 2 resupply points for me. So I left from Lake Keowee, which is up above Lake Hartwell, which is near Clemson University. I left there with enough food. I thought it was 3 to 4 days to get to Savannah. It ended up taking me over 5 days. And then Savannah, I took a break. I took a 0 day, went to the store, bought the next set of food to get me to a gas station. And then that would be another 3 or 4 days. It ended up being like another 5. And one of the issues was I thought it was going to average about 30 days. I didn't really do any kind of training. So if you want to know, I really don't do much training. I went out for a couple days, paddled a couple miles, came back and said, oh, the river's going to flow, it's going to help me. But it ended up, I had to go through 3 lakes, and the wind was against me. So that's what really slowed me down at the beginning and got me behind so many days when I thought I could have done it in 3 or 4, and ended up being 5. But luckily I didn't eat a lot, and everything ended up working out. But the phone is real important. I keep skipping it, but it was my navigation. So if I lost my phone, I didn't know basically where I was, except to keep going down the river. So I talked about the resupply. I talked about camping. I just camped on sand. Once you get out of the lakes and you get to Highway 103, that's really when the alligators start. You have to look on a map to see where Highway 103 is. But there's groups of alligators. They're all over the place. But you'll start learning kind of where they are. You'll see gator tracks. You'll see the footprints and how they drag their body up the sand. And then so just be careful with the camping. I would ask fishermen, what do you guys do about the gators? And they didn't know as much as you're going to know once you see them, because they always have a motor, and the alligators end up throwing themselves into the water as soon as they realize something's coming. So on a motorboat, they get way bigger alarm. But when you're kayaking, you're going to see them try to jump in the water. They jump into the water as a safe zone, so you'll hear that it's like a loud splash. And then some of them will just, you'll just see their eyeballs, and it's amazing how they look just like bark. And then once you start seeing them, you think everything's a gator. They're all over the place. Their head kind of has squares down, like this is their body. Somehow they kind of sit like this, if you can. So their eyes sit above. This is above water, wherever my hand is, and then their body. And when they hold their breath, their kind of tail and whole body comes out, like if you've ever floated, you've set yourself floated. Anyways, none of them ever bothered me. I had one that kind of floated towards me as I was floating down, and I was getting a little scared, and he turned his body, and then he, left me alone. The first time I saw him, you get really energetic. And then at nighttime at dusk, and anytime they go towards you and then down underwater, and you know that shore is behind you, that scares you a little bit, because you think, they're coming under your boat. I did have like one fish, something jump up under me. That was actually on the last day. But back to camping. So I camped on sandbars, islands. There's lots of camp up in the north. But once you get to the wilderness refuge right before Savannah, there's absolutely zero camping from the wilderness refuge to Savannah. So you need to be real careful in that section. You're almost tying off to a tree and sleeping in the water, which I wouldn't feel comfortable doing. So be careful in that section. Once you get past right before I-95 all the way to Savannah, and then you're going to get to the Port Authority, which is just huge sea tankers, commercial ships unloading there. There is some more sand places, but they're working all night, and I'm not sure if they're going to be too happy in the wake. When they move those ships around, I wouldn't want to be around in a little boat or kayak to sea. One of the things I didn't realize, I thought the Savannah River was a river. It's not really a river till you get like 15 miles past Augusta. Does it ever become a river? So almost half the trip is the lakes, even though it's called the Savannah River. And the wind seemed to always be blowing north, so that really can slow you down. Animals I saw, I actually got to see a cougar, which I never see, it was like 10 or 11 o'clock one morning, and I just saw this big cat on the South Carolina side just walking, and it just hit me. And of course it was a time when my phone was dead, and but it was awesome to see him. There's tons of turtles in the north, and then as soon as you start seeing alligators, you don't see any more snakes, you don't see any more turtles the rest of the trip. There's sections of alligators. I probably should talk. So after the 103 or the 301, there's a pocket of them, and you'll see them up until I don't know. It's in the notes. I'm so sorry, you guys. You're gonna see them up until 95, but they get a little scarce in between, and then after 95 to Savannah, I didn't see any more. The ones in the refuge, people were telling me there are going to be lots. There were actually fewer. There were actually more in the north. They stayed in the water. There's not as much sand there, so they would stay in the water. They didn't seem to bother you as much as the ones in the sand. They're staying on the beach, and then they get scared and they jump in the water, and that's what scares you. So I saw cougar turtles, snakes, alligators, tons of birds, cranes, buzzards, vultures, that kind of thing. Mosquitoes varied. It wasn't the same thing every night. In the lakes in the north, they actually weren't too bad, and I just slept outside. But as I got getting further south towards Savannah, they got worse and bigger, and I got bit all the time. You'll see some spiders. You'll hear pigs or boars. There's deer in the north. You'll see they'll play in the river at nighttime if you're lucky enough. There's some rocks in Augusta you're gonna have to go through. That's one of the harder sections because there's 2 locks there and the water's really low. And I came through right at dusk, right as you come under I-20. That's the only time you may want the helmet if the water's really high and really. But you have to navigate. You swing all the way to the right, come into Augusta, then you swing all the way back to the left. But it's quite difficult to navigate because you're so low in the water, and it looks just like a field for miles and miles and miles of rock and no water. It looks like there's absolutely no water running through when I went through. It stays that way for most of the time, but it can change. There was a fish. I don't know. I'm not telling you a fish story. It was absolutely huge. It jumped out when I was in the wilderness refuge just north of Savannah. It's like what you would catch deep sea fishing, and you would be super excited to see. There's lots of wasp and bees that you'll see in trees and posts all the way from the north to the south. You actually see them. You'll see wasps actually floating in the water a lot, and some bees will land on you, but they never stung or bothered me. And the ants. If you read my journal, almost every day I was attacked in some way by ants on my food, so I really started taking care of my food. And I had a lot of food, and food was in my backpack, and they broke into my backpack. They had a much harder time breaking into the storage bag here. That's another reason besides water. I kept ants out way better. So, well, I think that is pretty much it for this trip. Again, this trip took me 12 days, about 300 miles. I did the Savannah River on an inflatable Packraft kayak. I hope this has helped you guys. I'll leave some notes so you can see the photos, read the journal, and I hope you'll watch some of the other videos if you want to learn more about my bicycling, hiking, my other adventures that I take. Alright guys, thanks so much.